Well, we are live.
We are, and we're on
You
opposite.
you being over there. You're supposed to be on the other side.
There we
There,
go.
there's where you're supposed to be. Yeah. Oh, and that's the way that is. Watch me. Yeah. I forgot to put my. This is why we know that when it's live, even when it's live taped.
Yeah,
So let's explain a little bit. We are not live right now, but we hope all of you guys are on and we're going to have some fun. I'm going to be at a client's office this week, and Carter is actually going to go on vacation. Carter.
oh, crazy. It's the first time I haven't been in a conference during my son's spring break in probably, I don't know, 7, 8 years.
Isn't that crazy?
Yeah, so we're going to go out of town, just hang out.
Well, good for you. We're going to let you. And that is why we are taping this ahead of time. But we do have some people that are on here that can answer questions. So don't be afraid to chime in, to like us, love us, give us all that good feedback, because this to me is a really, really interesting and dynamic uh, just a program. I mean, to me, this is some of the meat and potatoes that people don't realize, because customers a lot of times don't tell you what they're looking for. But the reality is, there are some stuff. In fact, there are three things, options that customers want to have that they are absolutely clamoring for, that you may or may not know what those are.
And these things don't always, I mean, they don't seem like traditional marketing type topics or conversation, that you'd be having when you're talking about marketing. But they really are, because every one of these three things, as we get into it, we'll talk about how every single one of them relates back to your ability to attract the kinds of customers that you want to be able to attract in your business. So, insofar as marketing is all about presenting the things to the customers that you want, presenting things to customers that you want, that those customers would want,
Mhm.
to have, that's why we're talking about it in a marketing conversation. So, it really is pretty important to pay attention.
So this is what we're talking about. When your customers ask, "Are you listening?" And some of the things about customers asking, we always think that when people ask us, they're going to ask us directly. And so I want to talk about some of the ways and things you need to listen to see if people are actually asking you indirectly. So one of the things is, wow, that's a lot of money. That's an indirect question. Is I I wasn't expecting that. Is that something that's going to affect me, or I have to have this done every year? Really? That's what they say? I mean, that's another indirect question. So we're gonna get into the three top things. So I want you to think about those little nuances that people may say to you or say to the text, and you need to give them some ammunition, if you will, to listen to those things so that they know how they can come back and answer those questions. So we're just going to jump right in with my favorite one: financing options. Financing options.
This
When
is big.
people, yeah, it's huge. Uh, One of the things that I realized a long time ago when I was in a financial advisor is, when people talk about money, they don't hardly ever talk about money directly.
Hmm. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah, money is one of those things that people keep real close to the vest. You know, and there is shame around money. There is the way you were raised, what you do and don't do about money. And there's a lot of stuff about money that people just don't openly discuss and talk about. So this is one of the reasons, if you have financing options so that they can bypass you and go right to a way to solve their problem. That
Yeah.
makes sense? Yeah.
And presenting them with that option gives your customer the ability to, make decisions that otherwise they may be paralyzed to make, because of, their inability to talk to you about what's going on in their personal finances. They may just say, well, we're not going to do this right now, or, this isn't something that they may tell you they can't afford it or whatever. But oftentimes they'll just say, thank you very much, we'll consider this and get back to you. But the real issue may be a financing issue. How do I pay for this? This was unexpected, and I wasn't planning for this. I don't have the resources put together for this. What do I need to do in order to come up with the resources to get this done? And to be able to present a financing option really does answer that question, even if they can't ask the question directly, because of whatever reasons that you just mentioned, which I think are all very valid.
Yeah, it was really an eye opener to me, and I'm really glad for that experience, because I just learned that when it comes down to money, money is one of those things that people a lot of times don't want to discuss. They don't want you to know what their situation is, and I will tell you, some of the people that you think make a lot of money are really highly leveraged, and so having financing options is a really important thing to give them, so that they can go outside of dealing with you directly and deal with a finance company and figure out what they need. So let's talk a little bit. I know that you've seen a lot of these and put a lot of them on websites. So what are some of the ones that you've seen that you think are really good?
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of different ones out there. They all offer slightly different programs and packages for home services. Some work specifically and exclusively with home service businesses. Others work with other consumer type products as well and offer financing on they would be great for a hearth company that sells stoves and fireplaces and hearth things.
Mm-hmm.
And so you'll need to decide for yourself which one is the most appropriate. Some of the names I would check out would be Interbank. Let me look at my list here. Hearth is another one. They're kind of like a clearinghouse of different ones. So
Mm-hmm.
Hearth is it'll help you identify which of the different financing options and companies out there would be the best for you to use, or I'm sorry,
Okay.
for your consumer, your customer to use.
Right.
Synchrony is another great one. My Synchrony is their financing program for home services. Um, Sometimes, some businesses can consider, if you're really cash rich and sitting on a pile, self-financing can be a great way of doing it, because then you're not only making what the fee is for, I mean, you're not only making what you're charging the customer for the work, but you're also making a small percentage on the loan too. So that can be pretty appealing for some people if you've got the cash sitting around, and the ability to use that cash to bankroll your customers' repairs. Then you could make an additional amount of money every job that you self-finance.
No, that's really good. The other thing I've seen is putting a payment calculator, with different interest rates, a sliding deal. And there's a lot of them out there that are free. You can find them just about anything, anywhere. Whoever's done your website or whatever can probably find one for you. And that way they can kind of play around and see what their budget is and those type of things, and really kind of get there. So, this is the advantage to your customer, but there's also an advantage that you have by having financing. And one of the main advantage, now this is not the self-financing, because that's like extending credit, if you will, to people, and you making that interest rate. But on the other ones, the really gift to you is you get paid in full real quick. And so now you're not sitting around wondering if that client's going to pay you or not. So because you get yours, which is really good, So there's a benefit of you offering financing as well, uh, to the company. So you're getting your cash really quick. So the next one here goes along with financing, but I've had people ask me, what is the difference between a finance option and a payment option? Okay. Well, financing is normally considered long term. Most people will finance no less than 6 months. I mean, the vast majority, it's 12 months or longer is your finance. And there are some of these companies do offer zero financing if you pay within 12 months, which is great. You can still have a zero offer. But a lot of times a payment option is just, how do I pay you? How can you break down payments? It's a little bit easier on me, the consumer, but I can still pay you in full and not have to pay interest. That's usually what a payment option is. So, same as cash is what they're talking about. So 90 days payment option, you can pay me in full in 90 days. You can break it down, half today, half, an installation, or half today and half in 60 days. I mean, it just really is whatever, is tenable to you. I've heard people that'll break down that if you buy a stove or, a new unit, that literally if you pay me half now, then once it comes in and we come out to install, you can pay me the other half then. And a lot of times that's, especially now with the shipping issue that we've got, and there's just not a lot available. So that may work. Anything else about that, Carter, that you can think of?
Yeah, no, I think some of the banks that we just talked about for financing options also have programs put together for some of these types of payment options too. So you can combine those two types of things to make it even more attractive for your customer. So 3 installments, 5 installments. I've seen some that'll do the shorter term offers. So, okay. But you're right. Most of the time, the banks want the longer, payments for really big jobs. But just depending on the program that you get in, you can look at that and see what options you have.
Yeah, and I just read this morning that the average credit card interest rate is right at between 16.5 and 17%. So anything that can be offered below that, somebody to put on their credit card is a good rate right now. So I think that's good too.
Yep.
So let's jump into this other one. I know this is one that we see in a lot of home service industries, but we don't see them in all home service industries. So I want to talk a little bit about maintenance plans. What exactly do you look at as a maintenance plan? When you think maintenance plan, what are you thinking about?
Yeah, maintenance contract, service agreement, maintenance plan, annual service. There's a lot of different names, and depending on the industry that you're in, you're going to probably adopt a name that's common to that particular industry. Of course, we see this a lot in everybody's familiar with HVAC companies and annual service. You almost always, if you get a warranty at all on a brand new system, it's going to come with a warranty agreement that says you have to get your unit serviced every so many X number of months or years or whatever, so that you can maintain that contract or that warranty. Mm-hmm. So hearth appliances, stoves, etc., everybody knows about that. So putting together a maintenance plan that allows a customer to be able to chunk up the fee that you're going to charge them for that annual service, so that they're paying it out over time before the service occurs, prepaying, if you will, up until the point of the time that the maintenance call is performed. Gives your customer a way to not necessarily save money, but to cash flow your service, so that they can figure out how to budget that into their household budget in a way that they don't have to cough up $300-400 once a year usually right around the time that, something else is big that they have to take
Christmas,
like Christmas, etc.
Yeah, Christmas.
To be able to pay that out over time, it does two things. Number one, and I know we're going to jump in and talk about this, but I mean, not only does it help your customer, it does a lot more than two things, I should say, but it helps your customer cash flow things, but it helps you cash flow things too, because now rather than riding the seasonal tidal waves, you're much more consistent in terms of what you can expect on a monthly basis. And the third thing that does, that is the real magic here, is that when you have a customer who is signed up for a maintenance agreement, they'll do it year after year after year, and they'll never leave. They'll never call another company for service because you're their guy. You're the person that they use because they have an agreement, a contract with you to come out and service you. It lowers the hassle for them to have to book the appointments and figure out if you're available and when, and it just makes it happen like clockwork every year. So it's brilliant for customer retention.
Well, and the thing too about that, I just want to add too, in some industries, they do what's called forward scheduling. I mean, it's very common in the chimney and masonry business. You forward schedule. It totally eliminates forward scheduling because now you got people paying, month after month. The other thing it does, so you talk about the up and down. If you're a seasonal business and all your business comes in the summertime, if you're a landscaper, it comes in the fall if you're in the chimney business. And I don't mean all of it, but the vast majority of it comes in those seasonal businesses. Well, one of the biggest problems with seasonal businesses is keeping people employed year round. So if you can even out your cash flow, then all of a sudden you've got cash flow to keep people employed on a year-round basis because all your money's not coming in at one point of the year. You've got cash flow to cash flow your equipment expenses. There's so much that having that even cash flow does. But as somebody who deals with the finance of our business, one of the biggest things that I love about it is now you have predictable cash flow to make financial decisions in your business. So, having these kind of plans really does help a business financially. It helps them in operations. It helps them, keep people, retention, not only your customers, but your employees. So there's a lot to this. And people think that it's only done in HVAC companies. But guys, I'm telling you, roofing is doing yearly inspections for roofing. I've heard of a garage door company doing yearly inspections for garage door. Just going out, checking the garage door, making sure everything is done, blah, blah, blah. They're doing it for a fee. So why in the world would somebody pay somebody to come check their roof on an annual basis or their garage door on an annual basis? Well, if you think about it, garage doors are expensive. And right now you can't get, I just went to the dentist just recently and we were talking and the dental hygienist that was cleaning my teeth said, we've been trying to get somebody to replace a garage door for 11 months. They can't get them. And my understanding is it's one of the things that's holding up construction right now is garage doors.
Strange but true.
Yeah. So if you've got somebody coming out on an annual basis and checking that door and making sure it's working and tweaking and oiling and whatever, you might get 2 or 3 more years out of that product. Same deal with your roof. Wouldn't you rather find a small leak or a small problem or a small something on an annual basis as opposed to a big serviceable repair? Same deal with chimney and masonry.
It's just most homeowners understand that an ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure, right? I mean, if you catch it early, you're going to save yourself a lot more money than if you wait until it becomes an obvious, really big problem. The repairs just mount up. So what most consumers want, though, is the ability for someone to just take care of it for them.
Yeah.
Come out and do it on a regular basis and make sure that maintenance is done so that they don't have to remember it. They don't have to have a schedule or a reminder to call at a certain time or whatever, because they just know you're going to call them and you're going to get them scheduled, and it's going to get taken care of. And it's going to keep them rocking and rolling a lot longer, safeguarding the value of their home and their appliances and everything else. So
I'll tell you, one of the industries that it's a gold mine in, and I don't know of anybody doing it, is gutter cleaning.
Yeah, gutter cleaning is one. Home siding I've seen.
Yeah.
Window cleaning, power washing. The list goes. Course pool and spa maintenance.
Yeah.
The list just goes on and on and on. There's no shortage of ways to do this. But here's the thing: the reason your customer is clamoring for this, and more now than ever before in the lifetime of consumer habits, maintenance plans are seen as something that are expected. Why is that? Because every single thing in their life is a subscription.
Yeah.
Spotify, Netflix, Hulu. You just name it. You go through the list of all of the things that they're used to getting hit for every single month. And yes, it's, $2.99 here and $14.97 here and 20 something there and, whatever. And yes, it all adds up. But essentially what a subscription lifestyle leads to for many consumers today, many younger consumers today, is a predictable cash flow, a predictable budget item that they know that they're going to have to take care of on a monthly basis. And when that automatically happens for them, they get in less trouble financially. They're able to manage their finances with much more acuity than otherwise. And it's a convenience for them that they really enjoy. And when they find that you have a maintenance plan, you'll find that a good number of them are going to jump at the chance to just mark one more thing off their list every year by automating it, by just having it handled.
And there's so many different ways you can do this. You can have a really basic plan that really is just, I don't know, just a 2-year agreement for maintenance, is what most HVAC, they lock you in for 2 years to come out for 2 years of maintenance. Like I said, the roofing is just a yearly inspection to come out and inspect your roof, make sure everything's okay, look at the gutters, look at the this, look at the that, just, kind of do that. A yearly sweep and inspection, and, and you just take the cost of that and break it down over, a 12-month period. May want to give them some incentive to get in it, give them the first month free or the first couple of months free or quarter or however you want to do it. You can do quarterly. There's a lot of different ways to do this. You can also get much more involved if you want. Some people offer like 3-tiered type service agreements. One is very basic. One may take care, maybe more expensive, but when you go out, they'll take care of a certain amount of labor and repair that you'll put in on that. And then you can have a really Cadillac Gold type plan, if you will, that really takes, X amount of dollars up to X amount of dollars will make sure to cover the cost of, equipment and yada, yada, yada. So, it really is whatever you want it to be. And that gives you a lot of, just a lot of flexibility, that it can become more or less whatever you want it to be, which I find is really a good thing. I would tell everybody to start with a basic plan and see how that goes, and see, if you run into repairs, if you're running into things, and ask the people, would this be something that, you would consider, that we, give you X amount of labor per year if we find something, that's more, I guess, when we're inspecting, we find an issue, we'll give you X amount of dollars of repair. And it could be like $500, because, you may go out there for the next 4 or 5 years and nothing. And then all of a sudden there's one and they get a $500 of repairs, but you've collected X amount of dollars from them. And so you cover your costs, and you're going to have some that you're going to lose a little bit. So it's this win-lose thing, that's just part of the game you play. Cause business really is a game. I know a lot of people,
Yeah.
it's kind of like that.
your goal is to overall to make a profit, and but by putting together programs like this that offer incentives for some future reward, people will stay enrolled in that and continue paying for a valuable service, but also knowing that eventually there's going to be that reward that's going to come to them for their loyalty, that's going to give them that discount on a repair that's inevitable, and everybody knows that it's going to happen, and so it too, but you've built it into the cost of doing business so that $500 off, you don't even feel it. Essentially, because we talked about this last week with our discussion on customer lifetime value.
Mm-hmm.
But if you know what your customer is worth over a lifetime, then $500 off at some point in the next 3 to 7 years, in order to keep that customer for 3 to 7 years, spending money with you every single year, it starts to look like a bargain. Okay.
Yeah.
Because if you start to know if you know what it costs to get a new customer, and to the churn of just constantly trying to feed the machinery with new customers in the front door, and you never see them again, and doing that over and over and over, year after year after year, you're going to spend a heck of a lot more than $500
Yeah.
to keep a customer.
Yeah.
Or to get a bunch of new ones to replace the ones that you've already burned through. So it really does start to make a lot of sense.
Yeah, no, I totally agree with that. That's a great point. And the other thing to make sure everybody knows is you do have to have a way to manage these. You need to have a way to to collect on your end as a subscription. I mean, there's some management things that you got to set up. You've got to make sure that you have an attorney look at all this stuff. I'm not telling you just go out and write on a strip of paper and just make one up and go. I mean, there are some things that you need to make sure that you're covering your bases and doing all that. But keep it as simple as possible so everybody can understand it, straightforward as possible. But yeah, I mean, it's just, I just think overall, these three things, if you make sure, whether it's on your website, however you're doing it, if people are aware that you are actively making these things available to them, then I think it's a really, really good thing for not only your customer, because they're looking for it, but for you as a business.
Couldn't agree more.
Well, you know what? We wish we were here live, because I think it'd been fun, and I hope there's a lot of comments and stuff while we're gone. But guys, it is what it is. And I just want to remind everyone that Spark Live can be found right now as a podcast on Spotify, iTunes, Google Play, or your favorite player. And next week, we have another really hard-hitting thing. And Carter, I'm going to lean on you for this. I don't even know if you know what the subject is, but it's about automation and the things you should never automate.
We're going to have a fun conversation about automation and integrations and things like that. So if you've been thinking about ways to make your life easier, thinking about ways to save on routine, repeat tasks in the office, there's a lot of good things automation can do for you. So tune into this conversation and find out what can be automated and a few things that you should never
automate. So with that, we're just a little under 30 minutes. So we hope you guys have a great week. We are this automation. After that, we're going to see you. If you're a chimney guy, we're going to see you hopefully in Las Vegas before the next one, and looking forward to all of that. So have a great week, guys. We'll talk to you soon.